What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It has been an absolutely insane week on the channel in regards to growth, views, support, just everything. And I just want to take this time to say thank you so much. And I also want to take this time to fully talk about Resident Evil 2 Remake. Now, I've been so excited for this game, and it's funny, hype seems to last a lifetime, and then the game comes out, and then that's it. Like, the hype is like dead, it's gone, and you're like, oh my gosh, I was so excited for that for such a long time, and now it's already over. And I definitely, I'm feeling that just now when it comes to Resident Evil 2. Now, I promised you guys I was going to do a review. I always do reviews on Resident Evil games, and I will do the same for Kingdom Hearts 3, which I am currently blasting through just now. Now, there are some negative points in regards to Remake, and I'm actually so glad that I'm not alone when I talk about this. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, I didn't really fault it in any way. The atmosphere was absolutely petrifying. You guys got to see some of my worst moments, i.e. Mr. X for the first time. And the game overall was just so dark. Like, I had the brightness as high up as I wanted it without losing some of the quality of the game. But nah, man, that game was just dark, and it wanted you to just feel claustrophobic and just to feel absolutely horrible. And I mean, it's Resident Evil, and remaking 2 was such a big thing. And I can imagine there was a lot of stress and a lot of pressure to get it right as well. Because I mean, Resident Evil 2 obviously stems back to when it was a lot more survival horror. And then they kind of changed things up a little bit when Resi 4 came out. And I remember when they first announced that they were remaking 2. And then we got like our first glimpse of the gameplay, and we saw that it was over the shoulder. And I do remember a lot of people saying, all the Resident Evil games that are over the shoulder, they're very action-y, they're not that terrifying. So there was a lot of concerns, and there was a lot of people worried that, they were going to kind of mess up the remake for 2. Now, personally, I don't feel like they did. I started the game on standard, and I got about halfway through, and I realized that I was an absolute mess playing this game, and I was really struggling, and I worried that I wasn't even going to be able to finish it because I was more scared. And I just felt like playing the game on standard and the inventory and things like that, and just having the zombies and having to worry about your aim, and every single bullet counts. But unfortunately, it always felt like the zombies never died, which I can understand from like a scare point of view. They had to do that, because if it was just a case of like 3 bullets and then they're dead and they never come back, you were going to hit that point in the game where you were just going to be running around, and all the zombies, what the heck is a zombie? And all the zombies would just be dead in all of the rooms, and then it got to the point where it'd be too easy, it wouldn't be scary anymore. So I feel like they had to go down that route of making it that they were almost indestructible in some way. And sometimes I would feel so secure, and I thought I put like 5 or 6 bullets into the head of that zombie and it would still somehow come back alive. And I never ever felt secure in that game. And I worried sometimes that even being in a save room, how safe was I being in this save room? Because I never truly felt safe at any point in Resi 2. I just realized that I had my headphones in because I was just recording another video, and I was like, I don't need headphones in for this video. Gameplay wise, I felt like there was times when I wished that there was a sprint button. Like, there was, as I'm gonna call it, a casual jog. But see, when you're trying to like run away from Mr. X or William or like any of the final bosses and things like that, I felt like the gentle jog wasn't enough to really get away. And I felt like they could have maybe benefited from going down the Evil Within route and just having like a tiny little sprint button and have like a little sprint meter there, so you couldn't really abuse it or you couldn't level it up or things like that, just to have that little extra peace of mind. I feel like that could have been maybe a nice little feature to have in the game, because I just sometimes feel like from a realistic standpoint, you'd be absolutely petrified and you wouldn't just be casually jogging away like, hoo, 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 no big deal, I'm not bothered. You would literally be sprinting as fast as you possibly could to get away from Mr. X. At least I would be anyway. So let's talk about Mr. X for a second. Or maybe we shouldn't. He might come after me again. I'm done thinking about Mr. X for 1 week. Now, here's where some of my concerns come into it. Don't get me wrong. I feel like having Mr. X in the game, it was obviously going to happen, but he always turned up in the B scenario of Resident Evil 2, whereas this time, he turned up in the A and the B scenarios. Now, I will get on to my complaints about the scenarios, or lack of, as I'm going to call them, but I feel like Mr. X was great, but then it kind of wore off like really quickly as well, and it just became like more annoying. I don't know. It was like one of those things where it was cool initially, and then when you were trying to have to like figure out a puzzle, and again, I understood where they were going with it. Like, they wanted you to feel this sense of urgency. They didn't want you to kind of dilly-daddle or anything like that. They wanted you to get on with it, basically. But for me, I feel like Mr. X should not have been in both the campaigns, and he shouldn't have been in like the same places in both the campaigns. Now, this is where it gets a little bit like disappointing for me, because in the original there was like significant differences between Leon A, Claire B, and vice versa, whereas in this one it felt like there was not supposed to actually be a B scenario, that they should have just had the same game. You play it once as Leon and then you play it once as Claire, and that's what they should have had. They shouldn't have had it you play it once as Leon and then you get the second run as Claire, and then vice versa, because it was far too samey. And I found myself being really disappointed by this. And a lot of it made absolutely no sense in regards to the timeline as well. There's just so many little features that as I was playing through Claire B, I was like, Mr. X, number one, shouldn't be there. Like, Leon is the one that put the fire out at the helicopter bit, so why am I now putting the fire out? Why is it round about that fire section that the doors were boarded up? Like, who boarded those up? What is the point of that? The ladder was actually broken as well as Leon, but it wasn't broken as Claire. So, like, that made no sense, because where is this happening in the timeline? And the other thing that got me about that was Leon was looking for the two electric, we'll call them plugs, because I don't remember the name of them. He was looking for the two electric plugs so that he could open the jail doors to get the parking lot key, which is fine. But then as Claire B, you do the exact same puzzle in the clock tower section to get the electric plugs to open a door in the Chief Iron's office. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense to me, because you get the exact same cutscene where the clock bell goes or whatever, and it's like, that's not right, because you've basically done the same puzzle as Leon already, but now you're doing it as Claire. And I just feel like it was really lazy that they called this the second run, when quite clearly it wasn't the second run. You should have only played the game as Leon A and Claire A, because that's how they put it together with the story. And I feel like there was such a missed opportunity to really have the stories like intertwining with each other, and yeah, it didn't impress me, to be honest with you. And then when you get like to the cable car section, again, you're destroying the plant in the second run as Claire, but you do the same thing as Leon. So which one destroyed the plant? They can't both have done it in the same run. They can't. I feel like they couldn't have had that same William boss fight at the end as well, and the same cutscene with Annette. It didn't make any sense in relation to the timeline of Claire A or Leon A, Claire B. It didn't make any sense, and they should have just had it that you play as Leon once, and then you play as Claire once, and then that is it. Take out the second run, because it didn't make any sense in the timeline. Let me know what you guys think about that. I've talked a lot about that in my Discord and online, and there is a lot of people that are kind of on the same wave, I guess, of disappointment when it comes to that side of the story, because it does put you off a little bit, because you think, oh, I'm playing it again, but this time I'm playing Claire B and it's going to be totally different. But there was too many things that didn't make sense in the timeline. Now, one thing I did really like, however, was the new areas and getting to play as Sherry, and you got like the orphanage section as well. So obviously that was all new. You got to play as Ada and you got to experience that side of things, although playing as Ada was absolutely terrifying, but it was great. And overall, the story aspects, the graphics, the way it played, like, I can't really fault those things. And I liked a lot of the secrets that you got to do with the films, and the Rebecca photo was there, but you just had to really go digging for it. So there was a lot, and I've just played the 4th Survivor as well, which is absolutely tough as nails, by the way. I haven't managed to complete it yet, but I would like to, or at least attempt to. Now, I said to you guys that I was going to play this game again, and I will do Claire A and Leon B, but I'm just going to do those on stream. So I haven't set a date just yet for when I'm going to do that. I think I would rather finish Kingdom Hearts 3 first, and then I will do some streams and things like that. So that's going to be good. But overall, I feel like my review of this was that it was definitely worth the wait. I did thoroughly enjoy it. I just felt like the scenario side of things really let it down. And I think that it was a missed opportunity in that respect when it came to the scenarios. Other than that, absolutely loved the game. And yeah, it was dark, it was gruesome, it was terrifying, but it definitely brought me back to those original Resident Evil days. And yeah, it was definitely worth the reviews that it got. So I want to take it over to you guys in the comment section. I want to know, how did you feel about Resident Evil 2 Remake? Did it live up to your expectations? Did it let you down strongly? Just let me know in the comment section. We can have a little conversation about how we feel, because it's always good to get your feelings out. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope there were some points that you understood, that you liked, and blah blah blah. And as for me, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.